Okay, everybody, well, if you're watching live, it's Friday afternoon. If you're catching a replay, just happy day. Hope everybody's having a good day. I was scheduled to go here a little earlier, and life just happened. You know, that happens sometimes. But I'm excited. I've got so many things laid out here to show you and to talk about. So I'm excited to spend some time with you. We've got a couple of minutes. I'm just going live so that if anybody does want to catch this as it occurs, you have time to find me on our Facebook page. And I'm doing the same thing. I'm finding me so I can keep an eye. Oh my gosh. Oh, I thought that was pretty shadowy, but I guess that's not terrible. But my light is over there. Let me kind of turn that, see if that helps. And it looks like this is a little cockeyed or cattywampus. Let's see. There we go. That's looking better. We've got a little bit of work area here, so that's good. So I think that's pretty good. Okay. I'm going to stop adjusting and just start doing. I have to move my chair over a little bit more. And that's going to make some noise. There we go. All right. So hello. Welcome. Now, I don't have any intention of taking this video down, so there's no rush to get through this. And if there is continued interest, I have so many other things I can show you. In art journaling, there's just layers and layers of products and techniques and fun. It's all fun. So welcome. We've got 2 minutes to go if my computer clock is correct. And then I've got so much I want to talk to you about and show you. I did a little survey for those of you who gave me answers. Thank you. If you haven't answered but want to, go ahead and scroll and find my question. It says, I think it's got an image that says, inspire me. Because I have things I want to show, but, you know, it's got to be stuff that this group is interested in learning or seeing or being re-inspired. So the vast majority included art journaling as one of their interests. So I'm leading off with that. And pretty equal was some scrapbook layouts. I know one, dive down a little deeper would be on a 1 page, 1 photo. So I've got a couple of patterns. We can work on that someday. But I'm leading here because there seemed to be a lot of interest. So I hope you're ready to go. I'm not seeing comments. So if you have commented, I'm going to refresh. If you haven't, no big deal. But I don't want to be missing them. And sometimes that happens. All right. I've got 1 minute to go. The sun actually came out. It was cloudy until recently. Hello, Dawn. Hello. I hope you had a good trip. You guys ventured out to Mount Rushmore. It was years and years ago that I went there, but it is impressive once you get there. Very beautiful. All right, 4 o'clock, time to rock. In the posts here, you should be able to scroll for my original post where I uploaded a document. And also, if you look in the upper tabs, there should be one called Files, and it will be located in Files. But I just did kind of an outline or, just a brain dump of art journaling basics. So I've been doing art journaling for about 15 years, which was amazing when I added that up. And for the same amount of time, I've been teaching classes on art journaling in person and online. Early on when I taught, I would be featuring techniques of particular artists so that I would be able to speak to and sell their products. And then maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I wanted to go, what is my art style using products? So I'll just share what I've learned along the way. So as I have learned, Diane Reevely has some wonderful art techniques and products on the market. Dina Wakley is probably my all-time favorite mixed media artist and art journaler teacher. I love the way she teaches. Vicki, I think it's Pompano, was early on some of the examples that I followed to learn art journaling, and I've always loved Maramy Small Art. So she does beautiful work too. I'm glad, Dawn, I'm just seeing your comment. I'm glad you had fun. So the other thing to think about is if you're a crafter like card maker or scrapbooker, lots of items that you already own in your stash, they'll be usable. So to transfer, which is like all of our products, right? Card making stuff can work for scrapbooking. Scrapbooking stuff can work for card making and mini albums and those kinds of things. So we need to have an art journal or something that you're going to create this in. And every art journal can come with different types of paper. And there's nothing wrong with whatever paper you have, but just know that every paper is going to react or respond differently. Not bad, just different. So keep that in mind. So let's talk about a few art journals. This one I just learned from Lindsay, and I don't know that if I do a full journal because it's very tightly bound, but I love this paper. I love how it responds to paints. It's not bad for sketching, but I really like this paper. So this is Stillman and Byrne, B-I-R-N, and it's the Zeta, Z-E-T-A series. So they have different journals, but this is just yummy, yummy paper. All right. My all-time favorite, the grandmother of them all, I got to get some room here, are art journals that are made from Diane Reevely. I like this size. It's not too big. It's not too small. And in some of her later editions, she's got a variety of paper. So you've got your manila, and then you've got black manila. I liked this. It's like, oh my gosh, did this in 2021. It's funny, you go back and look, it's like, oh, that was nice. How the heck did I do it? And then you've got your craft paper. So this is a smooth mixed media paper, a nice option from Dylusions. This also is a Dylusions, and it was, it's trying to grab something else with it. There we go. And I painted it neon pink with some glitter. But this is her original, where it's all manila. And you can see when I use ink, it'll make some messes in there. So I'll probably work out of this book because I've got some plain pages here. But a lot of fun techniques. It'll take acrylic paint and inks very well. So this is a Dylusions all with the manila paper. Let's see, I'm going to pull, this one is a Dina Wakley journal. I just painted the outside of it, but it's got denim pages. It's got like a canvas. It's got a burlap page. So you can just treat all of these like regular paper. So a lot of different textures to work with. Trying to find a blank page so I could show you. I've done quite a bit in here. Let's see. Hang on. Wow. And so look at, I've used the same technique of whatever I was doing on, here it is. You can see the white canvas and then the burlap. Here's a new one. Look at that. That's to the end. I didn't realize this one was almost filled up. Okay, so that's journals, and there's more and more and more on the market. It doesn't matter. Oh, here's a small one. Look at this little square. Sometimes it's nice to start small. This was August of 2023. This is a lot of Diane Reevely, her stamps, her techniques. Look, I don't have anything fancy here. I just did writing. So it can be, you know, your style. Find and buy and use what you love. All right, enough of that. Those are journals. So let's see, that's the first thing. 2 is paper edition. So you can use dictionary paper, tissue paper, washi tape. And I think what I'll do is I'll just start doing a demo and then we'll talk about them. I can't use everything in these, but we can use maybe 1 or 2. So here's some pages. Like I could make a piece of art out of that. Look at that yummy background. Ooh. And this is from the Dina Wakley, her large journal. So I love this paper in her large journal. I'll cut it out and work with it. It's really nice paper. Okay, look at that one. And the funny thing is, a lot of times it'll get all covered up, but you've got these layers and there's some richness in the layers. All right, basic tools. Let's talk about that. There's something called a splat mat. Ranger sells one. More and more companies are selling them. And you want to put something down. You can even, if you don't want to invest in this, you could get a dollar store $1 tablecloth. You could use maybe parchment paper just to get started and try it. But I'm going to lay down what's called a splat mat. All right, and I'm going to need my journal. And then we need some kind of glue. So I'm going to use, this is Liquitex Satin Medium. I'll use that. You need a white gesso. And I use white gesso a lot as just white paint. So we'll see if I can get that lid off in camera. Lots of times it's nice to have a spritzer, something to spray your paint or whatever and get it moving. And then these are called blending tools. They're a Ranger product and they just Velcro. Now look at, there's paint in that one. So if you get too much paint, then those pokey things aren't going to do their job to hold that piece of felt. See, that one's not wanting to hold very good. Okay, but I can usually make it work for a couple of swoops. So these are really nice when putting paint through a stencil. So it's called a blending tool through Ranger. I would say that's if you just want to get one in different foams, it's a good start. Wet wipes are nice to have around. Paper towels are nice to have around. You want some basic paint brushes. So I've got some here. I'm sure there's something else. You want a glue, what kind of adhesive you like. A heat dryer is nice. I've got a cup of water over here. You need that. Let's see, I lost my page. What else? Splat mat we talked about. A hot glue gun is nice sometimes. All right, I think that's it. So that's a basic tool set, and I'm sure I'm missing something. So let's get out our journal and just start. And the first thing I do is I add some color to my page. So I think this hot pink one had some blank pages. I gotta make some room here to keep on camera. All right, I think you can see pretty much. I think I might have to come up a little bit. Hang on, here it comes. Fasten your seatbelt. Not that way, it's gotta come up this way. Okay, that's as high as that'll go. Whoops, that didn't work. My goodness, I don't want to invite anybody. Okay, I'm back. Now you can see both pages. Sorry for that. I gave you a little ride there. All right, so here's my page. I've got some acrylic paints. These are kind of a newer set that Dina Wakley rolled out. And then I got some pretties as well. So I'm going to use white gesso first. And I shook it up a little bit. I might need to shake it just a little bit more. Ooh, just drip some. All right. And I'm going to be lazy here. So I'm just going to pour a little bit here and here. Gesso is going to soak into the fibers of this paper. You don't want it to be real thick. and it doesn't have to be pretty, but it's going to offer a different response to your paints. So I like to leave a little bit not gessoed, because then you can see almost different layers. And mixed media art journaling is really about layers. Now, I think one of the secrets to layers is when you layer with the same colors or the same color family, so that it doesn't go overboard or overwhelming to the naked eye. All right, so we'll call that good for gesso. I'm going to pick up that little dribble that I did earlier, or I'll put my fingers in it, or my... Never fails, I get a brand new blouse and I'll get paint or gesso on it. All right, and this is drying pretty quickly. Another fun thing to do is to add paper. So here's a tissue paper. This is a Tim Holtz roll. So I'm just going to, sometimes it doesn't tear very well. It'll have a resist, but I've got this one. And sometimes it'll stick right into the gesso and you don't have to add glue. And I'm going to try to do 2-pager. I will pick this up in a minute and see if it needs some glue. I'll put some glue on the top of it for sure. And then I'm going to just overlap it maybe a little bit this way. Yep. All right. And since I got this other piece, we may as well use it. All right, I don't know where that one's going to go, but let's get some glue and I'll just show you how I adhere this. I don't want bubbles, so I'm going to lift this up and see where it needs glue. Yep, it's still picking up. Okay, so I'm just going to lay this down, little drip, and then I've got this kind of a flat, I don't know what you call it. It's not a palette knife, it's a little wider than a palette knife. A nice thin coat of my glue, and I'm going to come right back over it. And if I kind of come middle out, you can avoid a lot of those bubbles. So I'm just going to take another little dribble and put just a thin layer on the top as well. I'm going to let that dry for a minute before I glue the other one on over top of it. So let's pick this guy up and give him some glue. So we're kind of prepping our paper surface before we get some pretty color on there. We're adding maybe some neutral layers, and it's okay sometimes. I mean, I was just going to flip this around, but I'm going to glue this purposely upside down. So my wording is upside down. Helps me let go of my perfectionism. It is rubber. I will find the name of this. It was kind of expensive. I wonder if it says it on here. No. Yeah. The brand is Barbati.com. But I do like it for adding collage and adding layers of paper, whether it's dictionary paper. I don't think I got quite enough there. I saw one video years ago and a guy was talking about why collage didn't work. And he said, as hard as you press down, if you don't have any glue under there, it's not going to stick. And I thought, that's a novel idea. So you've got to make sure there's glue where you're sticking it down. You cannot will it so. All right, so a little bit more glue on my top. And again, just kind of going back and forth. And every once in a while, I might get a wrinkle, and I just accept that as part of the texture. Let's see. I think I'm going to do this to kind of join the two together. So I'm going to go right over that crack where those two pages come together and lay this one down. I'm going to even overlap that just a tad. pressing down there. And that's probably enough for me. And I had enough glue on my, whatever you call this, so sorry. I will get it. You can use a palette knife, you can use a brush, you can use a credit card, an old hotel key card, but I do like this piece. Okay, so now let's talk real quick. I'm not going to go in detail today, but we could do that on another day, about color theory. Because if you put some colors together, they're going to make brown. And if you're okay with brown, that's great. For example, these two are going to make brown. If you stick with either warm colors, like the colors with the sun, pinks, oranges, yellows, they're not going to make a brown. And if you stick with cool colors, like what it is with the ocean, you're not going to make brown. So also, blue and yellow make green, so they will not make brown. So why don't I stick with these three colors today when we add our next layer, which is the number 3, adding color. So lots of different ways you can add color, but let's just start with some acrylic paints. So underneath here, I have a splat mat. I'm going to see, you're going to be able to barely see it, but I'm going to put my paints right on this splat mat. A little bit of this color. This is called mustard. Really a nice color. And I've got this color, which is called, and look, you don't need a lot, and I waste a lot. Malachite, if I'm saying that right. And then this color is sapphire. So I know that these 3 colors will go together. All right, I do want to show you a technique. So one of my favorite things of adding texture then, because we want to do that in the layers we add, one of them is to use a stencil. So I've got a stencil right here. I'm going to dig out, hopefully I can find a damp wet wipe. I don't have grandbabies in diapers anymore, so I need to get my own wet wipes. But these have a little dampness left in them. Okay, so let me get my brush. I'm just going to take that same one that I used my gesso. Clean it off just a little bit. And I'm going to start with the medium color. I'm going to start on the top. I like to make sure that it's anchored somewhere. I want to go over some of my paper. Adding a little bit of water, see if I can just smear it a little bit more. I have no preconceived idea of what I want to do with this. And I don't get hung up because it's the first layer, okay? Whoops, I grabbed some of that blue. I guess that's going to be next. All right, let's take a little bit of this blue. Let's go toward the middle. I do like to leave a little white space. You can cover the whole thing. It's personal choice. All right, so this is where I'm going to now put my stencil on, take my wet wipe, and see if I can take some of that away. I'm going to lift this up and show you. Isn't that fun how it starts to get those layers? You can do that while it's still damp, and gesso on it to begin with is going to help let that loose. Okay? So now I'm going to do it here where I'm going to drag. There's no paint right there. I'm going to take this up and see if I can transfer some of that paint, some of those into the other dots. So look at that. There was no paint there, but I've got that same texture. And let's do it down here, but let's not go across. Let's go more up and down. And that's starting to dry, but I think it's going to be okay. All right, so it's a beginning layer, right? Okay, so now let's do the same thing. I've got a little bit of that paint left. So I'm going to take one of my blending tools, and I'm going to see if I can get it in the dark, and just take my blending tool and pick some of that up into the foam. I'm just kind of smushing it up in there. So let's get my same stencil. I'm not adding a new shape, but it's the same but different because now I'm placing that paint color into. So now I'm going to get my other color. They should blend into a new color. Oops, I got some yellow in there. Beautiful. Okay, so it's just layer after layer. Let's take and introduce this yellow in a more pure form if I can. I'm going to come over here where it's kind of quiet. That's kind of a muddy multicolor. I still like it. And kind of take it all the way through. Kind of just up and down and up and down. Okay, so that's about it for adding my textures with a stencil. The other fun thing is if you've got one of these dirty with a little bit of paint in it, to leave a couple of circles. I always work in threes, so I'm just cleaning out that brush. Isn't that fun? All right, so now let me read. We've added color and we've added texture. That was number 4. Let's go to number 5. This is adding your focal points. All right, so what I have, I think rub-on rub-on stickers is what they're called, would be beautiful. And they make some beautiful on the market these days. 49 and Market are beautiful. Simple Stories has just started coming out with them, and so has Graphic 45, or making a comeback. We used to do these years and years ago. So I painted some of these and cut them out. So you can, just any collage pieces that you have will work. You can buy stamps. All these companies, like Dina Wakley, Diane Reevely, they have their own stamps that you can stamp on your paper, color them, and cut them out. Trying to find some maybe with long stems. So that's looking pretty good. And maybe I'll do some short ones over here. Maybe I feel kind of like it's a garden. So it's different than scrapbooking that we don't want to put them in the corners where we're going to add photos. Now you can art journal and feature photos. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm gonna put a phrase. I just had lunch with a friend, and there was an opportunity for me to allow grace. And I thought, that's kind of a nice thing. And what does allowing grace mean? And I found this really pretty phrase. So I printed it out, and I'll show it to you in just a minute. I thought I had some more long ones. Oh, here's one kind of long. I like that bud. I'm going to look up. You guys have any questions so far? We're adding our focal points. We're kind of finishing it up. Here's a nice green vine, but I don't know that that's going to show against. I'm just kind of laying it out, and then I'll glue them down. Certainly not going to use them all. Do like a little yellow. Okay. That's enough for me. So these are my focal points. So you're going to want a stronger, this Liquitex is not going to work as well on a heavier cardstock. And that first journal that I showed you, that I gave you the name, that's the paper I used when I did my painting on these. So I'm going to get these glued down, probably a little differently than where I originally did. What questions do you have? I'm going to kind of come up here. I'm using Fabrifix because it's a nice strong glue. Let's see if I'm going to do this guy. Yep, He's going next. So we talked about journals, talked about a basic toolkit, which can expand over time. New things come out to market. Whoops. Spread that out a little bit, maybe. Not a little undecided here. Kind of like those two little sweethearts together. Let's do that. I love taking away some of that paint through a stencil. I think that is so fun. You don't have to fill the whole page. Look, I can even have one kind of laying down. I think I'll do that. I'm just putting glue. I don't think I'm in camera here. I'm just putting glue on the back of these little cutout flowers. And you see how these pop on the page? They are opposite colors, right? You've got your cools and then your warms. Nope, I don't like that. Doesn't do me anything. This might not need any more. I'm going to move over to this side. And you can do just a single page as well. You don't have to do a full-size page. Yep, okay, I have a vision, or a little bit of a vision. But art journaling for me over time has helped me learn how products work, how they don't work, what happens if you do this. And many of them have been an expression of where I'm at in time and space. Sure, why not? So I'm going to put this phrase here, and then I'm going to kind of scribble. I'll know what it says and I'll remember. And I'm going to put the date. I think it's so important that you put the date, because you don't know it until time has passed and you go back and look. And it's not a matter of, let's see how much better we've gotten or worse we've gotten. That's not the purpose, but it takes me back to the time and where I'm at as a human in this time. And sometimes I can recognize good things that have happened since then. You know, if you're somebody who prays, maybe it's answers to prayers. Or, you know, freedoms from surrenders. Just you just never know. Maybe it's, gosh, I've been gonna work on this for 5 years and I haven't changed anything. Who knows? All right, so it's taken me a little time to get my focal points on, but worth it, I think. I do want to bring another purple into this side. Not sure where. This might not be bad. Just checking. I might not need all of these that I grabbed. They'll just be ready for another rainy day. I think this guy's enough. And I'm going to let my leaf overlap this guy, because that's what it does out there in the garden, right? You're not going to see the full. I must not have got any glue there. Try it again. not every full flower. Okay, let me find my printout. I'm gonna have to reach over here. And I was looking at, you know, how to allow grace. And I found this phrase. And I think I like it in the smaller. I printed a couple of fonts because I wasn't sure. Number one, I can never tell until I print it out what it's really gonna look like. So this says, be kind and gentle in what you say and how you say it. And then this was by Dawn Killinge. Klinge. Klinge. I want to give her credit. Okay, and before I start cutting this apart and gluing it down, I want to look at my little notes. So we're adding the focal points, and then finishing touches will be last. We'll talk about that. Just kind of taking a test drive here where I want this to go. All right. Here's my scissors. So I am going to snip this apart. I'm going to kind of glue this over where my flowers join. So I'll glue it just like that. So let's get that done. Here's my glue. Now this actually might work better. I'm going to put a little bit of this acrylic medium down on my splat mat. Oh, it's off camera. It's just a little bit above. And I'm going to take that, oh, that paintbrush has got paint in it. All right, and that's wet. So I'm going to make sure that this brush is dry. Scoop up some of this paint. And because I'm going to kind of collage that right on top. So it kind of blends in. I'm just going to take my finger and just kind of make sure it's all made good contact. And then same thing with this little, I'm actually going to do it with my finger. And it's wet, but it'll clear up a little bit more once it's dry. And you don't want to do a lot of handling or it's going to disintegrate right under your fingers. It looks like I need a little bit more glue right here. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to look at it and go, what's too much or what's not enough? And I might tone some things down. So that's where I take my white gesso and put it on my splat mat. So I'm going to scooch here and see if I can put it right here. It's kind of thin. I'm going to shake it again. Okay, and then I'm going to take a clean brush because I'm not going to fight. And this is what I call, this is part of finishing touches. So let's take, here's a nice big brush. So this is just too much for me. So I'm just going to take my white brush and try to tone a little bit of this down with white. I want it to be a little looser, so I am going to take my finger in there too. Oops, I missed one. You got to put be kind and gentle over there. Well, I still have some. Let's do it right there. Do it right there. Oops, my finger's holding it. Be kind and gentle in what you say and how you say it. All right, more my white gesso. You can still, it's not completely opaque, so you can still see a little bit under there, but it just kind of quiets it down. This is where you can take your same, I wouldn't bring in another stencil, I would use the same, and I'm already out of white gesso. That's how important white gesso is to me. And we did that blending tool, but now I want some texture, so I'm going to lay it through the stencil a little thicker. Look at that. Ooh, yummy. See how that kind of tones it down? Let's do it over here. Whoops, pick it up. And then in threes, I'm going to come up in this corner. Carefully lift up. All right. So now to me that it has quieted down. Oh, there's a little drip. And it would be nice if I had something to clean this off with, but I don't, so I'll clean that off in a minute. All right, here's another one of my favorite finishing touches is splatter. I want to make sure that my brush is fairly clean before I bring that into my white gesso. I don't mind that it's getting on my focal points. Kind of blends them all together, but I do mind that you can't see what that word is anymore. There we go. Okay, and I think that would be it. I would need to let this dry a little bit. Look at my hands. That's from finger painting. So the other, you can put borders around these. I do want to write right over here. I've got a Stabilo pencil. So I could, got this here, I could write, I'm gonna make it really messy. I shouldn't do it till it's dry. I shouldn't do it. It's always just nice to have a little bit of your writing on the page. And you can't read what that says, but I think I'll be able to see and know. And then when this gets dry, where the little tips, the splatters are, I'll write maybe a little bit to myself about the event of today with my friend Julie, and then the date. Today is 6/28/24. So we've got kind of a time stamp when I go back. And I'll write that we did this as a free sample, a little example of how to add your layers. And I think I did at least one in all the categories that we talked about. So there you have it. It's kind of messy. You'll want to be sure to wear old clothing or a good apron. And look at this from my other layers. I got this little pink. I don't mind that at all. So hopefully, and I'll see if you guys have any questions or any feedback. And if we want to keep doing art journaling, you now have an idea of maybe some supplies that you need to grab, either that you already have or that you'd like to add to, you need to grab through stores and then be ready. And then you can art journal along with me. We can do this together. As I'm watching the camera, I'm thinking this is kind of dark in the middle there. It's great to take a picture, take a look at what you got. I'm just throwing a little bit of my white gesso. Kind of lighten it up there. Don't want that flower to be lightened up though. Just a little milkiness to calm it all down. But I like these color combos. I like these new colors. So look, it's like maybe a little flower garden out in a green, grassy area with a beautiful blue sky. All right, so grab some supplies if you need to and watch. I will post when I'm going to do another art journal free event. We can get going in art journals and do it together. I'm happy to teach you. There's so many techniques, so many things that we can dive down a little deeper. This is just a high overview of the steps to take when making an art journal page. Oh, I thought that was straight. Let's see if I can straighten it up for you. Okay, I don't see any questions or comments, so I'm going to wrap it up. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Thanks for joining, and again, thanks for your feedback on what can we do for free classes. All right, bye now.